Locker Room, with all the sports news you need, live.
Well, welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and I don't know why I'm putting on that voice for, but there you go. It's just gone 5 o'clock on a Friday night. I prefer that voice. You're listening to The Locker Room, or you're watching us, whatever floats your boat on this Friday night, on Indie Live Radio, on Indie Live, Independence Live on a Friday night. Joined by myself, the beautiful, handsome devil that is, Graham Duffy, and excuse me, Michael. We're here until 7 o'clock tonight. You can comment on YouTube, Facebook, and you can actually leave a comment on our Twitter page at The Locker Room Indie on old Twitter Racky, as they say. We're here until 7 o'clock. Graham, how are you?
I'm all right. It's Friday, been a busy week at work, and now, do I want to say I'm looking forward to tomorrow? I don't know. I'll tell you about 2 o'clock if I'm looking forward to tomorrow or not.
I'm a bit disappointed because I thought you would be looking forward to coming on the show with me, but I won't take it personally, honest. I know you've got a big game against Ross County tomorrow, but we'll look at that in a wee bit. And coming up tonight, then we will preview the Grand National, and we will look at that is the Scottish Grand National actually, and we will preview the weekend football and the Women's Scottish Cup semi-finals, and hopefully we'll be on till 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock was no Pro Keskas taking over the show, so we'll see how it goes between now and 7 o'clock. Okay, let's kick off as we normally do on a Friday night with the championship games, and the game tonight. Ayr United against Queen's Park. Now, a few weeks ago, Glenn, you would be saying this would be a top of the table class. Well, I suppose it still is, but the shyness took off it because obviously Queen's Park has got beat, what was it, 3 times or 4 times in the last few games. So, but still a big game. So again, as I always say on a Friday night about this time, I'm looking forward to the game.
Yeah, I think this weekend's last 2 games left, and it's very, very tight at the top. You got Dundee on 58 points, Queen's Park on 57, Inverness on 54, Partick on 52, and Ayr on 51. It is very. Queen's Park obviously got the win last week against Hamilton on the Friday night. Missed the games, but it was a massive victory for Queen's Park. And then they had the fact that they couldn't beat Morton at home. A 3-3 draw. Dundee were 3-1 down last week, so that's a massive, massive result for them. But now this last couple of games are huge. You know, Queen's Park, if they win this, they go back top. That's the end of the season. So after this, they play Morton away and then Dundee at home. I think Dundee have their last 2 games are Cove and Queen's Park away. So it's so tight, and these next couple of games are massive. And I think tonight's going to be a huge game. I think Ayr United, you know, they are sitting 5th. Still with a good chance to get in that, you know, last playoff play. So there's every chance. But this is a huge... you know what? Being at Somerset Park, I don't know. I've just got a funny feeling that Ayr United might just win this tonight. And again, I've said this a lot about the fact that Dipo Akinyemi has been such an important player for them tonight. He could cause Queen's Park problems, but this is a huge game for Queen's Park tonight. They know if they win, points clear of Dundee going into the weekend's game. So this is going to be absolutely huge. But I don't know why I've just got the sneaky feeling to sneak it tonight, even though I've been behind Queen's Park all the way this season.
I suppose, like, if you live in Ayr, it's a big weekend for Ayr because obviously we've got the game tonight, and also we've got the Scottish Grand National tomorrow, so it puts Scotland on the map. But hopefully, the Ayr United fans will be running to the winning post tonight. Did you see that? Graham? Sorry about that. and getting all 3 points.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a massive game for both teams. I think personally, for me though, it's more of a bigger game for Queen's Park because they want to get the automatic motion that they've, I think they would deserve because they have been fantastic this season. But again, Dundee, they had started to, they thought they were going to win this, and then obviously last week they've had that disappointing draw against Morton. They play tomorrow. I'm just trying to look at the fixtures. I don't think they've got a game tomorrow.
So
I'm sure this is Queen's Park's game in hand tonight.
So they've got a good run through the games.
I had the fixtures up and here we go.
A Bluff against Cove, Hamilton.
Oh, actually, no,
they no.
Yeah, Hamilton, like Inverness, Dundee, and Morton Wraith. That Inverness Dundee game tomorrow for me is an absolutely outstanding game because Inverness have really picked up. They won their last 2 games. They beat Cove last Saturday, maybe not surprisingly, but then during midweek they also beat Hamilton 2-1. So Inverness have really picked up as well, and they've got that massive semi-final to look forward to next week. So I've said this numerous times, the Championship is a brilliant league. It's really competitive. But that game tomorrow, Inverness Dundee, is going to be absolutely huge. And I think if you're a Queen's Park fan, your probably best case scenario for you for this weekend is you win tonight, and then Inverness and Dundee I think that's probably the best case scenario. But honestly, I just think that Queen's Park Dundee game, last game of the season, could be a winner take all, and that is going to be incredible. It really will be. And what an occasion that'll be for Queen's Park. If they were to win that and come up, it would be incredible.
And I know that we're talking about football and horse racing and air tonight as well, but my outside bet, Graham, would be Packet Thistle.
Yeah, every chance. Again, they've had a good season. They're sitting 4th. Again, every chance that they could maybe sneak that, but I don't know if they've left themselves with too much to do. But I think they'll be in the playoff either way. I think I'm looking at the rest of the league. Morton probably might not do it. They're 4 points behind Partick Thistle, so they might not get that playoff place. But honestly, it's just so tight. As I said, you've got Inverness, Partick, and they are all in the 50-point region. It's a huge. This is a really, really big weekend, and I think Queen's Park fans will probably be getting nervous for tonight because they know if they win, they go back top. And that game tomorrow, Inverness Dundee, I think that's a tough game to call. That could go either way, or it could be a draw. It's a massive game, that.
I mean, talking about Packet Thistle, right, Glenn, if an outside bet, what a season they've had, because obviously you had Ian McCall getting the sack at Ibrox, and we still don't know what the full story is. And obviously Jamie Duggan has gotten in there I was going to say turned him around, but still business as usual. So you would say that he might be up there for the Championship Manager of the Year. I know it's still a bit early, but but what a season they've had, especially as I said with Ian McCall getting the sack.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think you've got to be looking at whoever wins the league will be the manager of the season. And let's be honest, if it's Queen's Park, Owen Colley would thoroughly deserve it. If it's Dundee, Gary Bowyer deserves it. But it's a tight race. And I said this to James last week as well. And I don't think there is much between the top of the Championship and the bottom of the Premier League. So again, anyone who comes up, whether it be Queen's Park, Dundee, Ayr, Morton, whoever it is, I think they would have I don't think they go straight back down. I think they'd be competitive. But it's just that top of the table is tight. And for weeks, we all thought it's Queen's Park's. Now you're thinking, is it Dundee's to lose? It's just so competitive. But this game of the season, Queen's Park Dundee is going to be massive. It really is. It's going to be such. Still, because I've been blowing this bandwagon all season. I want Queen's Park. I think it'll be a great story. I hope they do, but I think tonight is huge. They have to win this game against United, and it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, if Morton can, yeah, you're right. because at least about 5 or 6 teams can still come up. But I mean, look at Morgan. Look at Morton. Doug Emdett's done a brilliant job since he's been in there as well. And I mean, fair play to the TV company BBC for covering it this season. For the past maybe about 3 or 4 seasons, and I think they're going to cover the final as well. So that's good. So we'll so Ayr United Queen's Park tonight. Let's go on to speak about the Premiership game tomorrow. We're going to speak about the Hearts game first because they're first, and I had a phone call actually from Sky, right? And they said that the reasons why that they picked that game tomorrow at 12:30 because Ian Crocker actually listens to the show, and he says I'll give Graham Duffy a lot of time to rant about Hearts. So that's why the game is first up, and we're going to speak about it. And before we talk about it, we've got a comment in the Aaron on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and it says Mourn Hearts for the game tomorrow. So thanks for watching, please keep your comments coming in. And you might disagree with Mr. Duffy in the next few minutes as he speaks about his beloved Hearts taking on Ross County tomorrow, Graham. Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
Alan's one of the many folk who's in my my group chat, which has just got bigger by the day. I think I've got 256 folk in it, so I'll stay on, pal. And anyone else that's watching. But yeah, I mean, I'm genuinely concerned about this game because we go into this in the back of 6 straight defeats. We've lost 7 out of 8. And I think the biggest disappointment for me is last week, that Derby game. Now, I know that Stephen Naismith only had 4 days to work with the players, maybe expecting a lot. But the disappointment for me is we were just so poor again. There was no fight. There was no desire and passion. Although, having listened to Andy Halliday, he thinks there was. Don't know what game he was watching. But yeah, tomorrow's a massive game. We have to win this. We're up against a team that are fighting against relegation. We are at home. Now, and I think I've said this for weeks, every game that we've lost, I've then thought a reaction, and we haven't done it yet. This weekend, I'm expecting a big reaction. Naismith's had a week to work with the players. I think he'll make changes tomorrow at the team formation, and I'm hoping we see a change in mentality because it's not been good enough. But it's a massive game tomorrow. We have to win this because ideally, we win tomorrow, Rangers then beat Aberdeen, the gap's 2 points. And then we've got after the split, I hope that we get Aberdeen straight after the split at Tynecastle. We win that, we then go above them. So that's the way I hope it works out, but when that happens, I don't know. But tomorrow's huge. We have to win this. And I think we've had a lot of, we talk about this in the group chats and Twitter as well, the Twitter spaces that I do, that the goals we're conceding every week are the same goal. It's a cross ball in that we can't deal with. Look at the goal lost against Hibs last week. Kevin Nisbet runs off the back of Natty Atkinson and Stephen Humphreys, who don't do anything. You've got 8 players marking nobody, and it's the same goal we lose every week. And my worry tomorrow is Ross County have got a guy like Jordan White, who's a physical player, and we can't deal with that. Kai Rolls can't deal with that. Toby Sibbett can't deal with that. So that's a massive, massive worry. But I think I will know within the first 2 minutes of that game tomorrow if those players are up for it. Because Naismith has talked this week about we need to be more aggressive. He's also talked about the fact that players are being negative. They're taking the safe option, which I agree with. Because what they're doing now is they're not making forward passes. They're going back all the time or they're going sideways. They're not being proactive. So I'm expecting us to be a lot better tomorrow. And if we're not, I'm going to start panicking. Because if I don't see reaction tomorrow against a team like Ross County, I will be having serious questions.
Well, your pal in the chat says Hearts has to win the Mora. I've not heard that word for years, Mora. He says, I think it will be 2-0 and Graham Duffy will score 2 goals and it will go to VAR. And he says, players do not look interested. Graham, I know that we were talking about it last week during the derby, and you kind of disagreed with me a wee bit. But I suppose I need to explain what I was thinking about last week when I was watching that game. You know how when you said Hearts didn't have any passion in the game at all. In fact, I don't think they had a decent shot on goal the whole game. But and I said to you, do you think and I said to you, because Robbie Nielsen got the sack last week, you know, what was the difference about bringing Stephen Naismith in? Because in that performance last week, to me as an outsider, there was nothing. So my point would be to you, you know, why change it? Because, you know, I wasn't working anyway, and, you know, Stephen Naismith never added anything different to that team last week.
Well, I think in terms of the team, I didn't expect him to change a lot because he's only had 4 days. And to be honest, I don't think any manager, Stephen Naismith or whoever, should have to say very much in a derby game. You should be up for it anyway. And Alan's point is right. The players don't look interested, and they've not looked interested for weeks. And that's the big issue that I've got. There's ways to lose games. We are losing games because, and I'm being no disrespect to Hibs or Motherwell or Aberdeen or St Mirren or that, we're not getting beat because teams are better than us. We're getting beat because they're working harder than us. We're getting beat because other players are doing simple things that we're not. They're doing the basics right, and we're not doing that. And that's a disappointing thing for me. And I think when Nielsen goes, you're not going to get a new manager in straight away. You know, it was always going to be Stephen Naismith and Frankie McAvoy. And I can understand that. But reaction now. And again, I said this last week as well. I really don't like players coming out in the media. I know they've got a job to do. I know they get asked questions, but I don't want players coming out in the media and saying, oh, you know, we've let managers down. We need to do that. It's lip service. Do it on the park. That's what matters, and we've not done that enough. And again, I'm getting sick of hearing supposedly expert pundits saying, oh, Nielsen getting sacked was a ridiculous decision. It wasn't. We'd lost 6 games out of 7. The players weren't playing for him anymore. It was the right idea. Now, again, when a new manager comes in, and apparently from what I've heard, it looks like it is going to be Chris Wilder. Now, I know that Thomas Fink, the ex-Bayern Munich legend, has been linked as well, but Chris Wilder is a favourite. I've no issue with that. If Wilder gets it, that's fine. He's got plenty of experience. I've listened to one of his, I think they got beat. Cardiff got beat. Watford got beat by Cardiff a few days ago, and Wilder went on a massive rant, which I quite liked because he criticised people, which I quite like as well, because then it shows that there's no room for error. So if Chris Wilder gets a job, that's fine. Naismith, I said last week as well, no matter what happens, whether we get third or not, I don't want Naismith in charge next season because he's not going to experience. But I think Alan and every Hearts fan that I've spoken to on Twitter, through my Twitter spaces and on the group chats, they're right. The players don't look interested. And again, I'm sure that folk have seen this as well, that Robert Snodgrass made a statement a few days ago. Some of the stuff he said, I think, was right. And I respect the fact that he came out and he said, I'd like to thank Hearts and Robbie Nielsen for giving me the chance to play for Hearts. I like the fact that he's also said that, you know, he's got great respect for the fans and the fact that he hopes Hearts get third. That's brilliant. I've got all respect for him for that. But it's the other stuff that he said as well. He's basically putting capital letters, the word team and the word together. And he's also said about the fact that he will definitely air his side of the story. I don't think need to be said now. Left it and just said, thank you for the chance. And then at the end of the season, then make your statement. But now it's kind of cast questions over what's he going to say? You know, what's he going to come out with? Because there has been, from what I've heard, and I'm not going to review sources, but what I've heard, there has been a lot of cliques in that dressing room. Now, again, I don't know what Snodgrass is going to say. It's up to him to come out and say it when he says it. But again, as soon as that statement comes out from Snodgrass, Naismith asked about that, and that's not what you want. You've got to focus on a massive game tomorrow. That's what your focus should be on. But instead, it's asking questions about Robert Snodgrass's comment. So I think that could have been left till the end of the season. But it's quite clear for me that a lot of players in that squad are A, not trying, and B, they're just not good enough. and it's showing. And that's why tomorrow is a massive, massive game. We have to win this.
Are you surprised about the timing of Robert Snodgrass coming out and saying that? Obviously, there's 6 games to go now, and Hearts should be concentrating back on the horse, basically. No pun intended about the Grand Arsenal tomorrow, but winning games. Do you think that Robert Snodgrass should have been coming out at the end of the season with a statement when everything's finished?
Yeah, I think so. And again, I did a Twitter space just impromptu yesterday talking about this, and I kind of, in one way, I respect the fact that he has come out and he has kind of spoken, but then I look at it and think, well, that could have been done after the season finished, because again, you have said, you know, you've thanked Hearts, you've thanked the fans, you've said that you hope the players get third place. See if you just said that and left it at that. Perfect. Then come out at the end of the season and say what you've got to say. But the fact that he put in that statement that he will come out and say his side of the story, I think that could have been left. There was no need to add that part on, because now it's got folk asking questions about what's he going to say and when's he going to say it. Now, again, I think Snodgrass, when he first came to Hearts, and we spoke about this on the show at the time, he was a good signing. He's experienced, he was a good player, and I think at the start he did very well. But then once teams figured him out and managers put a man on, he was ineffective, and it basically stopped Hearts playing as well, because everyone knows stick a man on Snodgrass that stopped Hearts playing, and he was too slow. I go back to that game a couple of weeks ago against Kilmarnock that we lost 2-1. He wasn't the only one, but he was awful, and he got caught on the ball numerous times because he was too slow. So and again, I think when managers come in, they want to try and make a statement, and Naismith has kind of done that, because he's basically said to Snodgrass, you're not part of the plans. So he has made that statement, Stephen Naismith, but now Snodgrass come out and said that. So now you're asking questions about what's he going to say. So it does put a bit of a black cloud on it, and I think he could have easily left that to the end of the season, but now we're waiting for it to come out and what's he going to say. And listen, if he comes out and said there's been problems in the dressing room, fine, because I have heard that there has been issues with him and certain players in that squad. I'm not going to name them, but I have heard there has been issues, and I have heard that there's cliques in that dressing room, which I hope wouldn't happen. But listen, it's what it is. But we have to now focus on these next 6 games, because they're massive. Start tomorrow. You know, Ross County against Aberdeen, they were all right. They just couldn't score. You know, I thought they played okay, but they're going to be a huge threat tomorrow, because they are in a relegation battle. They've got nothing to lose. And as I say, we can't deal with physical players like Jordan White is, like Simon Murray is. We can't deal with that. So I am very intrigued to see what's going to happen tomorrow. And as I say, I think we'll know 2 minutes in that game if Hearts are up for it. When players have posted, and I agree with that. No, sorry, when you go.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say your manager, Stephen Naismith, said today that what gets you success is playing well on a Saturday, playing with a freedom and enjoying the game, and that's what you get. That's what you get when you get results. That's what we need every Saturday between now and the end of the season. County currently sit bottom of the Premiership with just on in 11th place, despite the struggles. The manager knows all about the challenges this weekend, and he says that we need every point from now until the end of the season. He carries on with something that you said, Graham, about we need to carry an attacking threat, and you might say to yourself, Graham, well, they haven't carried an attacking threat for a wee while now.
Not 100%, we've not. I mean, that showed last week. Again, there's ways to lose a derby game, and last week was nowhere near good enough. We didn't test David Marshall. David Marshall won't have an easier game all season. I think there was one attempt in the first half where Andy Hallery had a header saved. I think Lawrence Shank under a snap turn. Apart from that, there was nothing. And second half was horrendous. We offered no threat at all. And again, I said last week, what I didn't get with Stephen Naismith, and again, I know that he's only just new in the job. It's going to take time for him to implement his ideas. But the one thing that I thought was what I didn't agree with last week was the fact that when we're getting beat 1-0 by Hibs, after 75 minutes, he brings on Alec Cochrane, a left back, and brings on Keogh, a defensive midfielder. I said at the time on Twitter, I don't understand why he did that. You're making defensive changes when you're getting beat. That, for me, summed up last week's game, because that felt like Robin Nielsen was back in the stand again. I think you've got to be more adventurous. You've got to be more attacking. And tomorrow, we have to be attacking. We're at home against Ross County, who we played twice this season, and we've won 2-1 both occasions and didn't deserve to win either of them, to be honest. So this is a huge game tomorrow. We have to win this. And then, I hate saying this, but hope that Rangers beat Aberdeen. That's what I'm hoping on. But tomorrow's a massive, massive game. And Naismith's right. We have to carry an attacking threat tomorrow. And I think, for me, I think I'd be making 3 or 4 changes to that team tomorrow. I'd be going 4-4-2. I'd be playing attacking and be aggressive, because we've not done that enough. And I think I was looking back at a few of the games the last few weeks, and I think in 5 games, I think I tried to read this right, in 5 games, we have had 12 shots on target in 5. You should have that in 1 game, not 5. So that shows where we are slacking badly. We have to win tomorrow.
Yeah, and I told you that, Graham, that during the show we might have a protest on the show, and oh no, it's Reagan. How are you, Reagan?
Yeah, Michael, I've been throwing dust all over snooker tables, and I've been at the London Marathon this weekend. I've been so busy.
Yeah, but the police still hasn't caught you yet. But I'll tell you what, this morning the police at my back door, and they're looking for money, I think I don't know. I better not say that. So how are you, Reagan?
I'm not bad, Michael. It's good to be on with you guys. It's Friday. It's a weekend. We can enjoy ourselves. Celtic Park tomorrow. I'll be there. I enjoyed Easter Road last week. We've had a sunshine on Leaf. Graham, when you enjoyed it, but I thought
You're getting muted.
I did predict last week. I did say that Hibs would beat Hearts, and I thought for the majority of the game they're the better team. I don't know if Graham's admitted that already on the show, Michael, but I thought Hibs were really good. Thought they played well, and Nisbet took his goal really well. I thought Hearts really lacked a lot of self-confidence, and I think Stephen Naismith, I don't think he'll be anywhere near that job. I thought they lacked a real threat. I was really surprised.
And as for tomorrow, Reagan, obviously that Graham was speaking from a Hearts point of view, but what does Ross County have to do to kind of upset Hearts even more by going to Tynecastle?
Well, I think Malcolm
Score more
Mackay.
goals than us.
I think Malcolm. Is this BT Sport with Michael Owen? That's what Michael Owen used to say. If you score goals, that's you scoring more goals than the opposition. Anyway, yeah, I mean, if you look at Ross County, Michael, I thought they've been playing well. I don't know what Graham thinks, but I actually think Malcolm Mackay would be a good appointment for Hearts. I actually do.
God,
Why? They play good football. He got Ross County into fifth last season. His recruitment's been very, very good. What makes you not want him?
It's for me, I think he's a good fit for Ross County. I don't think he'd be a good fit for Hearts. I want a bigger name than that. And again, I've just mentioned before you came on, I don't know if you heard it, but apparently Chris Wilder is going to be the new manager, from what I've heard anyway.
No, but he is a big name for Hearts if he Malcolm Mackay from Hearts. You know, he is a big name. He's been down in the Premiership. Okay, he was involved in all that text messages, but obviously we're not going to get into that. But he's been about in the Premiership, Graham, and did you not bring a team up from the Championship?
He did. He brought Cardiff and Watford up.
Aye, so like there you go. And he's a big name to the game, Graham. You know, as well.
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. He's a good manager, but for me, I don't think certain managers fit certain clubs. I think Malcolm Mackay's a great job at County, but for me, he's not Hearts manager material. And can I also just as well say Darren Ross says get zonal marking in the bin. I agree with that, and I've said that numerous times. Zonal marking doesn't work, and we showed it last week. I watched it back again. God knows why, but I watched it back again last week, and there was 8 players. Hearts had everyone back. We had 8 players, and not one of them was marking anyone. So yeah, 100%. That's Stephen A. Smith tomorrow has to say that, especially with Jordan White, someone's got to pick him up from set pieces. Get zonal marking. I completely agree with Darren. Get zonal marking in the bin because it doesn't work. I've never heard of zonal marking space. It's pointless. Get a man on somebody.
I think as well, Graham, going back to what Reagan was saying, and you really actually make a good point about Malcolm Mackay. But you know, if he goes to Heartland, I'm saying if with a capital IF there, he would have a bigger budget to play about with, Graham.
Yep.
You know, because Ross County, no offence to like Ross and older Ross County fans, but I mean, I think like that they're punching above their weight a wee bit in the big time. So I think Reagan kind of makes a good point. And if like Malcolm Mackay gets the Hearts job, by the way, August game, you know, but would you be disappointed, Graham?
I wouldn't be. I'd be underwhelmed, but I wouldn't be. Listen, any manager who gets the Hearts job, I will back 100%. But for me, as I say, Malcolm Mackay is a good fit for Ross County, but for me, he's not Hearts manager material. That's just my opinion, and I'm sure that Hearts fans watching this will agree. He's not Hearts manager material for me.
But Graham, so if people are saying that Stephen Robinson is Hearts manager material, Malcolm Mackay's done more.
No, I don't want Robinson either. I've already said numerous times. I don't want Malcolm Mackay. I don't want David Martindale, and I don't want Robinson. As much as they've done good jobs, and I said this before, they are very good managers in their own right, and they've done very well with the clubs they're at. But they're not Hearts manager material. I want a higher caliber of manager than that.
Okay. I mean, me and you spoke on the show last week, Graham, and you wanted a foreign manager, right? Now I'm going to say this to you, right? So we speak about foreign managers that have come into Scottish football the past couple of years. We've got Pedro over at Rangers, the dogs and the caravans.
Casinha.
Yeah, but then you've got try to think of others. But all these things work. So what makes you think that bringing a guy that doesn't know Scottish football, doesn't know the British game, is going to work wonders? Because for me, Malcolm Mackay is the perfect candidate. Like, if you look at the players he's recruiting, he brought in Simon Murray from Queen's Park, who's the top goal scorer in the Championship. He brought in Regan Charles Cook, who was the top goal scorer for a team like Ross County last season. So he's got a very good eye for a player as well.
I don't disagree, but for me, for a team like Ross County, right, who've got no pressure on them, their basically remit is probably to stay in the league. I'm also looking at teams like St Mirren, again, who don't really have, and no disrespect to Vaselino's watching this at some point, they don't have really, they might be a top 6 club, that's fine, but St Mirren are not a team that I think are going to top 3, for example. At Hearts, you have to finish third. That's what the budget is. And I personally don't think that Malcolm Mackay, Stephen Robinson, David Martindale, or anyone like that is big enough to manage Hearts. That's where I am, because we have to budget for third place. We have to get European football. Joe Savage and McKinley basically said the budget is for third place. That's why Nielsen's got sacked. So that's why I don't want a Malcolm Mackay, David Martindale. They are fine for the jobs they're in, and they've done great jobs. I will keep saying that. They've done great jobs. But there is no pressure on these teams. There is massive pressure on Hearts. And there's massive pressure with Hearts fans as well. Don't get me wrong. Every Hearts fan is fickle. I'm the same. If we don't finish third, we want a manager sacked. There is too much pressure, which is why I don't think that's why Malcolm Mackay, Martindale, that are the right fit for Hearts, because there's too much pressure. We have to finish third.
I think you're right. When you put it like that, Graham, obviously you might think I'm sitting on the fence, but when you put it like that, Graham, like when Malcolm Mackay, if he comes to Hearts tomorrow, right, and gets beat in his first 5 games, he'll be out the door quicker than they come in, right?
Mhm.
But you've got to think of like Hearts has got a bigger fan base, especially at home or away from home, and they would be on the back right away. Where Ross County, I think you're right, Graham, about okay, they might have a decent home, a home fan base and a nice way stadium and all that, but they're such a wee club compared to
Yep.
compared to Hearts.
I totally get what you're saying, right? But from Malcolm Mackay, he wants to progress as a manager. He's not going to be at Ross County for the whole his time. He's going to want to go somewhere else.
If he wants to progress as manager, go to Hibs. Then he come to Hearts.
Okay.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think. Well, that was a good game, guys. Well done.
It was great, aye.
Can we do it again? Can we do it again?
Yeah,
That was
I
fun.
know. Yeah. Let's move on now to the game that Reagan is going to, and I will be going to tomorrow as well.
Come on,
Celtic against Motherwell, and Celtic's about 2 or 3 games away from that title as well, Reagan. So do you think it's just a case of Celtic chopping, taking the games off now till they get 2 in a row?
Yep. I think this could be a pretty, maybe a little pre-season game, because I think this is a perfect time that you can rest some players. I don't know what you guys think, but I think it's a perfect time to rest Kyogo and rest Callum McGregor when you're playing Rangers next week, because I quite like what I see of O. So why not play O tomorrow? Because there's no pressure. There's absolutely no pressure. Celtic have won this title. So I think as much as Jurgen Klinsmann went to Rugby Park for the prize last week, I think if you went to Celtic Park on Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m., that would have been a perfect opportunity to see O in the flesh and see that Celtic Park crew there, because I think next week is season defining for Celtic, because that is the biggest game. That is the biggest game of the season.
Yeah, would you say that, Graham, that the game next week stands between them and Celtic winning the title, winning the treble? Sorry.
100%. And I've said already that I think Celtic will win the treble. I think they are a stronger side than Rangers. I know the Rangers have given a couple of difficult games this season, but I just don't see. I don't see that Rangers side stopping Celtic. So I wouldn't be surprised if Celtic do maybe rest a few players tomorrow. And I think when O has played, I think he's looked right. He could have had a couple of goals last week. He obviously didn't, but I think Celtic are just too strong, and I do think they'll win the treble.
I think Rangers fans will be clipping that up, Michael, to put it on YouTube. So Graham said it tonight. Celtic will win the treble. They'll be clipping it up.
There's no Rangers fans watching this.
Stuart Kettlewell said at his press conference yesterday, it's the most difficult fixture going to face in the league, but we'll never go into any game thinking we're going to be second best. Celtic is right up there with the team now. Graham, I think I've said this to you before, right? But when Stuart Kettlewell was at County, I didn't have a chance to watch his press conferences. But when you actually see Stuart Kettlewell talking about Motherwell, but also about the Scottish games overall, he's very passionate about the games and as well, and you can see that coming through. I mean, he's starting to get a tune out of Kevin Van Veen, because, I mean, I would be my first one to put my hands up and say, I'm sorry, because we said weeks ago that, he's not scoring goals. Now he's scoring goals for fun.
I think he's got 19 in the league now, Van Veen. He's been brilliant, but I think he has been helped by the fact that he does have John Obika and Mikel Mandron kind of helping him out as well. But Van Veen's been great, and I think Kettlewell's done a great job. But again, like I said to James last week, what does it say about those Motherwell players? Because those Motherwell players got Graham Alexander the sack and Stevie Hamill the sack, and now they've got a tune out of Stuart Kettlewell. But again, I watched the game against United last week, and I thought they were a little bit unlucky because I don't think Van Veen's offside when he scores that other goal. I think he's onside. So I think they're very unlucky with that. But I also think they got very lucky because I think the decision that United got when Fletcher was booked was the wrong decision. I think that's a penalty as well. So they got away with that one. But I think Kettlewell's done a good job. But tomorrow is one of these games that it is a bit of a free hit. They're not going to beat Celtic at Celtic Park, let's be honest. And if Celtic score first and score early, it could be a cricket score. Now, I think James mentioned this. On you go.
Am I right in saying the last game at Celtic Park between Celtic and Motherwell was 6-0? The last game of the last season?
I think so, yeah. And to be honest, James said last week that he thinks at some point towards the end of the season, Celtic will rack up maybe another 9 or 10. I thought that was going to happen last week.
Okay.
In that first half, I generally thought Celtic could have scored 9 because every time they were going to score. Second half was a couple of chances, but apart from that, nothing major. But Celtic last week, Kilmarnock helped them, but Celtic last week just looked like they could score at a canter. And I think if the same thing happens tomorrow, then I think Motherwell could be an absolute hiding tomorrow. But again, it's one of these games that you're not going to be judged on this game. Motherwell, unfortunately now for them, can't make top 6, but they've had a good season. Let's be honest, they've had a very good season. They're sitting 8th. There's 6 games to go. The playing teams, obviously, after the split, the playing teams in the bottom 6, they could easily finish best of the rest. And I think if you're Stuart Kettlewell, given how the season's been, the fact they sacked Hamill, the fact they sacked Alexander, I think if you finish 7th or 8th, I think you'd be quite happy with it.
Aye.
Reagan, from a Celtic point of view, I was at the game last week and I came back and I watched McInnes's interview. But do you think that obviously Graham says Celtic could get scored 9, 10 easy in the first half, but obviously they never, and Kyogo missed his penalty, but he was still smiling. But when you listen to McInnes's comments after the game, and he was saying that should have been sent off, do you think that he's trying to deflect the performance of his Kilmarnock team? Because, I mean, they were awful last week. Okay, they came into it maybe a wee bit in, 10 minutes to go in the second half, but that was about it. But I just thought it was a bit of sour grapes about Derek McInnes coming out and say that. I mean, why did you not come out and say, we were beat by the better team today?
Yeah, I was listening to Graham there saying, what a great first half. Well, can I tell you something, Graham? I actually missed the first half. I was on the bus. I was on the bus on the way home. So I was listening to Stephen Thompson commentate on the radio. So
I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, unlucky. I feel sorry for you.
Yeah, but I think last week Derek McInnes was quite bad in his comments because I thought when I watched back the highlights, I thought Celtic played very well, and I think he can have no complaints over what happened. I think he was talking about a decision that
should have been sent off. Yeah,
the decision. I think it would have been very harsh. I think he's saying that his player got sent off at Easter Road. Well, I think I can tell you, Derek, that shouldn't have been a sending off either. And that's why I think VR is running football, because everything's going to get questioned now. Because you see it every week. All the main pundits on the main channels are saying, if that happened to Hearts last week, it should be the same for Rangers this week. Everybody's questioning things because something bad happened to their team the week before. And I think that's one thing. I think if you offered me right now, if we could take VAR away or if we could stay here, I would say take it away. Me, because for me, I was looking forward to it coming in, but now it's just totally ruined it.
Graham, I was having a confab with Dave Smith a few months ago when VR came in, and we disagreed on this point. And basically, we were talking about VAR coming in to Scottish football. And I think would it make any difference if they brought on full-time refs? Now, Dave Smith said no, but I've been speaking to a lot of people since that, and they've been saying yes. Where do you stand on that point?
I don't think having full-time refs is the problem. I think it's making referees better is the problem. I mean, let's be honest. Even I watch it every week, and I watch some referees going to the monitor and some folk not going to the monitor. I think for me, there's been a lot of decisions this season that for me haven't made any sense. And you look back to I think, was it Dundee United? I can't remember who they played against, but Tony Watt got sent off. Now, the referee went to VAR and sent him off, and then it got appealed and it got overturned. And it's happened a few times this season.
St. Johnson, yeah.
St. Johnson, yep, for Dundee United.
Yeah, and then you look at, it was Ryan Edwards against Hearts got sent off, and for me, was no difference in that to the Graham Shinnie one last week. Now, Graham Shinnie went in, he won the ball, obviously, but if you watch the tackle, he follows through, and it's high, and it's late. I don't know how folk can look at that and that's not a red card. That was always a red card. And the fact that Aberdeen appealed it, it then got turned down. Aberdeen made that statement, and it's then been repealed again and turned down again. There was no need for that. It was always going to get turned down. But I think VAR has been, and again, I spoke about this months ago, when you've got your chief executive, Ian Maxwell, coming out and saying that VAR will be horrendous for the first few months, that sets alarm bells are ringing straight away. Your own chief executive said that, and it has been an absolute shocker.
But Graham, the SFA called Aberdeen's appeal facetious. I just think that's a disgrace that they're saying, the SFA are saying Aberdeen wasted their time. How can they say a club's entitled to do it whatever they want?
We'll get on to
that. Does it not also cost money to appeal? It's like $1,000 or something to appeal a decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll get on to Aberdeen in a minute, but Celtic, Ange Postecoglou said today, Stuart Kettlewell has got a good job there. They've been on good form, so it'll be a good challenge for us tomorrow. Yep, and he also said that we've only got 2 or 3 games left at home before the end of the season, so we want to put on a good show for our fans. Regan, do you think that if now I know it's not the end of the season yet, they've still got 6 games to go, and also the cup semi-final and the final for Rangers, but do you agree with me that if Celtic didn't get beat off us at Millen before the World Cup, do you think Celtic would go on another invincible season? Obviously, we wouldn't know that, but
Michael, it's not often I agree with you, but I agree with you there, mate. I mean, I think what people forget is, right, that Rangers have actually done very well this season, and that's where you have to pay tribute to Ange Postecoglou and the fact that Celtic have only dropped 5 points in 33 games, I think it is. That is incredible consistency. And I think I read a stat that this Rangers point tally would be enough to win any season gone by. Is that right? 93 points? Something like that. And I think sometimes we forget because Celtic are 12 points good. We think, Rangers have been absolutely rubbish this season and things are not going well. But when you actually sit back and look at it, Rangers have lost to St Johnson, they've drew with St Mirren, and that's about it. They've been pretty good. So I think sometimes you need to sit back and go, maybe the people that said that Ange Postecoglou's methods and philosophy does do better in the second season were proved absolutely right, because to be 12 points ahead is absolutely incredible. I mean, with the possibility of going 15 points clear, it's just, to me, it's absolutely fantastic.
Graham, would you give Murrow any chance tomorrow?
Yes, it's called no chance. I just have a feeling that Celtic will be far, far too strong. I think, especially at Celtic Park, they're going to be far, far too strong. I think we said this numerous times in the show that Celtic could make 4 or 5 changes and it doesn't really make any difference. because they've got quality off the bench. I mean, actually, last week when I was on with James, last Sunday, you're looking at they bring on a young guy like Ben Summers for his first start. Now, I get for his first time. And again, there's only a few minutes to go, but for that young laddie to be on the pitch playing with Celtic must have been great for him. They bring on Rocco Vata, who again made a chance for O, who I think should score. So they've got a lot of quality in that team, and I think if Celtic do make changes tomorrow, whether he does, they know that whoever comes in is going to do a job. And I think tomorrow it will be probably, and if you're a Motherwell fan watching this, I'm sorry to say this, but it'll be a case of how many Celtic want to score. Because if they want to score 4 or 5, they will do that. And I think the first, all Motherwell can do is just try and restrict Celtic to as few chances as they can. But I just have a feeling that Celtic will be far, far too strong. They know they've only got a couple of games to go until they win the league. They've got that massive semi-final last week, which I do think will win. But yeah, I don't see anything other than a comfortable Celtic win tomorrow.
Michael, I thought you told Graham to be less biased. Every single Motherwell fans just switched off the radio, smashed up their iPad on the YouTube because Graham said that Motherwell's going to get smashed.
Regan, do you think that Celtic could get Alpha any better game tomorrow at home against Motherwell before the big game next week?
Yeah, because I don't mean this disrespectfully again. I know the two Motherwell fans that listen might tune out, but am I right in saying that Motherwell's the only team that can qualify for top 6? Graham, is that right? Rev's always a man in the know.
Yeah, because they're on 36 points. Hibs are on 43. They're on 6. So yeah, they kind of get top 6.
Yeah. So, see, I talk to them sometimes. So, yeah, I mean, if you look at it, so I think that if you're Celtic, Motherwell's got nothing to play for. Motherwell players will be booking their holidays to Benidorm or Ibiza or whatever the hell they're going
Hamilton.
for. Hamilton, that's a lovely place, aye.
That's exotic for Motherwell.
But no, the Motherwell players will be on their holidays. They'll be on the beach and they'll be looking forward to the break. So I think if you're Celtic, this is the perfect time to play and play a Wata in that midfield because I think McGregor, he plays 60 odd games a season, and I think next week is the perfect opportunity as Graham opens a can of juice live on air. Thanks for that, Graham.
I'm just waiting for people. I'm just waiting for people to text in the show that if O misses a chance tomorrow, they'll go okay, let's move on. I'm available for events, by the way, just in case.
Don't book him though. He's not very good.
Yeah, I'm available at Christmas. He's behind you. Okay.
You quite cheap, Michael? Are you quite dear, mate?
It's a bit personal, is it not?
I'm only kidding.
Let's move on to Dundee. I think that would be the safe bet. Dundee, I'm pretty cheap actually. Dundee United against Livingston tomorrow. Before we get into this game, I mean Jim Goodwin. I was watching him today, Graham, at his press conference, and they seem pretty calm because the last 2 games they've got 6 points out the 2 games. He said that there's a good atmosphere about the place given recent results, but it is so important. It is important, but we can't get carried away with ourselves. We've got to keep up the hard work. It's a big game for Livingston. They're fighting for top 6. David, Regan's pal, David has had good success over the years, but it's going to be a very difficult game. And speaking about David, let's hear from him now. Well, not hear from him now because I can't do his accent. Martindale said, I don't know if a win this weekend is enough, but we can only control what we can do, and that's the key aim is to win the game. So, Graham, this is a big game for both sides because there's something to play for. Like Livingston wants to make the top 6, last chance, and Dundee United fighting for their lives as well.
It's a massive weekend for a lot of teams this weekend. Livingston are a point behind Hibs, who go to St Johnstone. That last top 6 place is going to be really important. St Mirren as well, still fighting for that last 6th place as well. So it's a big weekend, and Livingston have had a very up and down season. I thought they were decent against St Johnstone last week, but St Johnstone were again very poor. Probably no surprise that Callum Davidson got sacked. I did feel sorry for him, but it was a massive 3 points of Livingston last week. And United, they've had a bit of a pick-me-up, beating Hibs, beating Motherwell, massive couple of games off the bottom of the table. And I think you've got to keep that momentum going. It's important that you keep that momentum going. It's going to be a tough game to call, I think, to be honest, though. It is at Tannadice. I actually kind of fancy United to win this because they have got momentum now after these last 2 wins. And their last home game against Hibs, they did play very well. So I think it's everything to play for. But I do think United at home, I've got a funny feeling United will win this.
I thought Graham was doing a Michael there and sitting in the fence, but he eventually got his answer out.
Reagan, I was very and Graham will write this, but I was very impressed with them last week. 2 weeks ago when they came up against Hibs. Okay, Hibs were a bit disappointing on the day, but you've got to beat who's in front of you. That old saying that we say in Scottish football. Yep. And it goes back to the 1955. That saying. What do you think of Dundee United this season? And also, what do you make of your pal David Martindale, who you did say in the show 2 seasons ago, Graham, that he's gonna get sacked?
I'm a bit disappointed Jim Goodwin's back because he's a very handsome man, and he's took my spot for the Scottish football. But yeah, I mean, he's done a very good job. He's been in there, and I think he's got Stephen Fletcher playing well, Charlie Mulgrew. He's got everybody playing well, and McGrath, who's what made it St Mirren as well. So he seems to have got a real bond with the players. I was interested to see that he said in his press conference about a psychology there with the players, saying that he thought the job would be harder than it actually was.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they actually could survive, because I don't know if you guys agree, but the away form of Kilmarnock will absolutely destroy them, because they've only picked up something, I think it's 2 points the whole season. And I think the only reason that they're there and third bottom is because they've only lost 4 games at home in the entire season, which is very, very good. And I think the 4 defeats were Celtic twice and Rangers twice. So I think you've got to pay credit to them and say, right, well, Dundee United have actually done really well under Jim Goodwin, and he's actually proving again that he's a very good manager, because I think that Darboe debacle actually made it not a very good one for Jim, because to go out against a Premier Junior team was not a good look. I see Michael's he's hiding my face from the YouTube. That's great, Michael. I know you're
no, that
great.
was me.
No,
But,
that was Graham. I have
the power to do that.
I have the power that you're doing a bit of Phil Taylor there. But
but Graham, the comment that you put up there, that the commenter on YouTube, thanks for watching, Darling Ross.
Thank you.
Please come back. He said, Graham, would you take any other Livingston player for Hearts? Fitzwater, Nubly, Ogilvie to Hearts. What do you think?
you know what? I would definitely, and again, from what I've heard, Joel Newbley may be coming to Hearts in the summer, which I would quite happily have. I like Christian Montano as well. I think he's a good player. I would also take, I feel like a Livingston pundit here. I would also take James Penrice, who I've liked for a long time.
Just take the whole team.
My God.
I think Obalai is a good player. I think we need the physicality at the back. Omiyonga, nah, ex-Hibby, couldn't do that. But I think there is a couple of players that I would quite happily take. I know that we are also looking at Nicky Devlin, who's another good player.
That's what I'm just going to say.
Players that I would take.
I know that you're a man that does these Twitter spaces every night now, Graham. So have you heard through the grapevine that Nicky Devlin's going to be on his way? Or if you,
he's someone we're looking at, and apparently, from what I've heard, again, he is very high up on the list of players. And I think he would be a good signing as well. But I think we do seem like a bit of a kind of Livingston club just now because we took Craig Halkett. We've had a couple of players for Livingston, but I think there is a couple of players that Livingston would quite happily take. And I'll be honest, I would be, see if we sign Joel Newbley, I'd be happy with that. I think he's a very good player.
So basically what you're saying is, Graham, you're going to take the whole Livingston team and
what we're going to do is we're going to do what we did with Hibs in the 80s. We're going to try and take them over. We're just going to sign all Livingston players, and we're going to be called, I don't know, Midlothian Athletic or something. I don't know, Lothian Thistle.
As long as you don't,
but I'd quite happily take them.
As long as you don't take the macaroni pies.
That bloody awful park as well. Dave, how are we doing? Long time no see, brother. How are we doing?
Well, someone that
you can keep going.
Yeah, we've got another pro Kreska on the show tonight, Graham. As I say in the Scottish Parliament, we've got to suspend. Oh no, it's Dave Smith. Dave, how are you?
All good here. Hope you're doing well as well.
Yeah, good stuff. You're just in time. I've got to speak about the Dandy Dons. That's easy for me to say in the friggin' night. Coming up in a few minutes, but let's move swiftly on to the game tomorrow against Johnson and Hibs. What's your comments? Well, first of all, Dave, I need to come to you first because I know that you covered Garrotas at Millen St Johnson games last season. What do you make of Callum Davison get the sack?
I'm not surprised. In all honesty, St Johnson's usually a club that's renowned for keeping a hold of their managers, but you can sense that fan fury and fan frustration was coming into it. And I mean, the football show was lacklustre. It was underwhelming, and you could sense there was a whole upheaval needed at that club. Now, Steve McLean's obviously came in. It was an interim charge, and he seems to have brought about into the Saints again. There didn't seem to be that degree of positivity under Carl Davidson for some strange reason, because what managers say in press, you take it sometimes with a pinch of salt, but sometimes you take it and they're being brutally honest. And based on what Carl Davidson's been saying, the terminology of both Davidson and McLean is two different contexts altogether. And I think there's been a huge positivity upturn over the last 5 days.
Reagan, what do you think?
I'm just going to ask Dave, sorry, what has Steve McLean said in the last 5 days that's changed your mind so much then? Because I've not heard him. What has he been saying?
Well, it's not just primarily Steve McLean, Regan. I think Stevie Mace came out today, in fact, and said that McLean is quite intense on the training ground, and Stephen players come out with the words intense and high standards and all these kind of big phrases in football. You get the feeling that things have changed. Now, I can't comment on behalf of myself because I'm not involved with St Johnstone Football Club, but getting the impression based on what players are telling the press, I'm getting the feeling there's two different contexts here. And David said it was, things are fine, we're slowly getting along. Under McLean, it's, train's intense, train's high standard, train's good quality, we're up for the task, we're up for the fight. And I think it's based on what players are saying in the media rather than my perception
Aye.
on affairs, in all honesty.
Aye, that's true. But I would pick you up there, Dave, and say that Stephen Naismith, Shaolin said that Naismith's training's been great, and then Hearts go out and play absolutely terrible. We must have seen them all season. And Graham was doing that by watching the game last week. I thought they offered absolutely nothing. So I think the important thing.
I think you're speaking about two different people here. I mean, Stephen Naismith, I was speaking to Graham about this on our group chat last Thursday. I thought Stephen Naismith was rather underwhelming in his pre-match press conference last Thursday. I thought he offered very little inspiration for Hearts in the lead up to what was arguably one of the biggest games of the season on Saturday in Edinburgh Derby. With Steve McLean, now I've not read the whole context, the whole from what he said in the preview to tomorrow's match, but I'm getting the feeling that there's a totally different dynamic at St Johnstone now. Now, if they're going to beat 5-0, whatever have you tomorrow, or shut up. But I mean, you've got to be positive. I mean, I think the management change will put St Johnstone in a good stead now. Look at the manager St Johnstone have had. They've had Tommy Wright, quite low block, direct type of guy. Carl Davidson, exactly the same. Because you've got to remember, see, last season, St Johnstone were averaging 1-0 wins, 2-1 wins, and then when they weren't doing that, they were drawn or they getting beaten games. So that just goes to show you where St Johnstone are and were at. So I'm interested to see how it all develops moving forward.
And do you think Stephen McLean's in pole position, Dave, to take the job in permanent, or do you think they'll? Because for me, I was kind of looking at it going, who would be an ideal replacement? And I'm thinking, what about Owen Coyle at Queen's Park? He's played for St Johnstone. He likes the club, and I think it would be a very, very good appointment, and maybe they'd
Reagan, I think sorry to interrupt you, but I think what you were talking about, Malcolm Mackay going to Hearts early on, I think that would be a perfect fit for St Johnstone. How to kill a conversation, eh?
Dave's Wi-Fi's went there.
Lee Butler. Tom Courts has got to go on the list for me because he has his players defending well. Also, he can go and score goals. He's perfect for what St Johnstone need because he wins a lot of games 1-0, 2-0. He's not the type of guy that loses 3-4-0 and all that kind of stuff. Lee Bullen, I think he's done a tremendous job at Ayr United. I think he would suit massively what St Johnstone are looking for. And one guy that's ex-St Johnstone and knows the club inside out is Al Mabry, who's done a decent enough job at FC Edinburgh. So that's three choices
there you go, aye. There you go. Dave done his homework. That's good.
What about Hibs going into this game, Graham? Obviously, I hate to speak about Hibs after they beat you last week, but yesterday Jimmy McAllister was up on the press and he says that it's in our hands. Basically, he was talking about the top six, so we need to focus on what we do. Sad to see Callum go. Because he is a good manager. But we after winning 2 cups 2 seasons ago now. So what do you think of Hibs? Do you think it is a perfect game for them after the derby win last week, going to Perth?
Do you know, for years we've always talked about Hibsing it, and it would be the typical Hibsing it if after beating Hearts they end up not going into the top 6. That could end up happening. I think, to be honest, probably the worst thing you can do is go up against, well, maybe not Hearts, but the worst thing you can do is go up against a team that's not got a manager now, because you'd expect St Johnstone to be up for this game tomorrow. You know, they have to win this game to try and avoid that relegation kind of playoff play. So it's a big, big game. And at home, St Johnstone have done okay. You know, they've had a decent bit of a run, but I think it's going to be a game for Hibs tomorrow. They will look to obviously build on last week. And, you know, Reagan's right. I can't say that, I'm not going to be biased and say that they didn't deserve it, because they did deserve to win last week. They were the better side. But tomorrow's a different game. You know, it's not going to be a particularly great atmosphere at McDermott Park, I don't think. It'll be quite quiet. So I think, for me, it's a big, big game for both teams tomorrow. You would have to expect Hibs to win because they're on the back of a good win last week, but it's such a difficult game to call because St Johnstone need to win as well. And I think as well, the one thing that I would say about St Johnstone is one name that I've heard mentioned again, not surprisingly for the St Johnstone job, Robin Nielsen can get that job quite easily. Whether he will, I don't know, but that's the name that could be in the frame for it as well.
But then I would say to you, Graham, that's a step back. Why would they go from chasing third to helping relegation battle?
That's a good point because you can actually make a case for Paul Hartley there. Why did he go back to Cove? And I know it's two different scenarios and two different leagues and two different budgets, but Reagan's right there. Why go back to the club? Why not move forward and look outside the box?
Well, let's be honest. Managers that are out of work want to get a job, and I think Robin Nielsen would do a decent job at St Johnstone. Again, he's not going to have the pressure that he had at Hearts to have to win every week. I think Nielsen would do a decent job there. And again, if St Johnstone were to go down, he's more than capable of getting them back up because he's done it with Hearts twice. So I think Nielsen's name will be in the frame. Whether they go for him, I don't know. I think there's probably other managers out there, but I think Nielsen will be in with a shout at that job. But I do think that tomorrow's game, it's a massive, massive game. You know, for Hibs, if you're a Hibs fan right now, if you don't finish top 6 on the back of that win last week, you'll be gutted. You know, you've pretty much nothing else to play for. So it's a massive game for both teams. But I do think Hibs might. I don't think it'll be a great game tomorrow, but I do think Hibs might just sneak it. And as I say, they've got a man now that's in good form, Kevin Nisbet, who cause problems tomorrow. But honestly, it would be such a Hibsing it if they lose tomorrow and don't finish top 6. And I would laugh my head off if that happens.
As Kevin Keegan would say, I would love it. I can't do his accent, by the way, so you're stuck with that one. Okay, let's move on now before we speak about Dave's team. And I'm not talking about Rangers there, Dave. St Mirren and Kilmarnock tomorrow. And I can officially say it's the Mark O'Hara derby tomorrow because obviously Mark played for Kilmarnock as well. That's where he actually started his professional career at Kilmarnock under Alan Johnson, Magic Johnson, remember him? Wonder where he went. Yeah, so what do you think of the game? First of all, St Mirren, Reagan going into the game, disappointing last week how they came back twice, but Rangers won out winners on that game. But by all accounts and looking at the highlights, St Mirren played well.
St Mirren played well, and they can be very proud of what they did. And I think to score 2 goals away at Ibrox for St Mirren's great. I think Graham said the start last week. I think if I can remember, it was at 1991. Graham, is that right? The last time they won Ibrox. So I think they gave a very good account of themselves. 10 minutes to go, it was 2-2 in the game. So, yeah, but I think for St Mirren, they know their limitations. But I think one of the key things that Robinson said this week, Michael, I don't know if you picked up, but he says, if we can get into the top 6, then it can help us bring a little bit more cash in. Yeah, because I don't know if people know, but St Mirren have really been struggling lately with the cash flow, so that could be really important. So I think for both ends of the table, I think if I wasn't busy tomorrow, that would be a game I would really want to go to because St Mirren are playing well, and you need to say that at Rugby Park, this Kilmarnock team have been doing very well.
Well, they would be going to Rugby Park themselves because the game's actually in Paisley.
Sorry about that.
So yeah, I just love people. I just love picking people up on that.
Sorry about that, Michael.
But no, it's fine. It's fine. You can come back next week. It's fine. Graham, I hate to say this, but yeah. I think he's made you. I think he's made his point there. Gunnar Chris Sutton on the show, brilliant. St Mirren fans would be rubbing their hands about Kilmarnock because they've been a bit hopeless on the road this season.
Yeah, they've been horrendous. They've not won an away game all season, and it's probably a game. It's probably a game that Kilmarnock really don't want to go to. You know, to play against St Mirren team who have had a very good season, sitting fifth, a very very good season. Let's not let Reagan back on for a laugh. But yeah, they've had a decent season. I think last week, you know, to get back to 2-2, they did really well, but just unfortunately, Rangers just kind of steamrolled them in the end. But Robinson's done a great job, and this is a game that I fully expect St Mirren to win. Again, I think Kilmarnock, I've watched them a few times this season, and I've not actually been that overly impressed with them. They've had a couple of decent performances, but nothing major. And last week, their performance against Celtic was, and don't get me wrong, Celtic played well, but Kilmarnock did not half help Celtic last week. And again, I want to get you guys' thoughts on this as well, right? I don't know where you guys stand on this as pundits and that, but obviously, Fraser Murray had one of these games last week, nothing was going right. But I felt sorry for him because after half an hour, he gets substituted. What does that do for a guy's confidence to get substituted after half an hour? That can't be a good thing for him, surely.
No, I don't see a future of him at the club. I think if they're going to be in the I think if they're going I don't know what's happening here. I think if they're going to be in the top flight, I don't think Fraser Murray is the kind of the player they'll be after. But it was nice to hear from Darth Vader there, Michael.
Well, no, I'm not taking the blame for that one, mate. It's fine.
I mean, honestly, I just felt sorry for Fraser Murray last week because clearly nothing was going right. But he wasn't the only one. I mean, Kilmarnock were, for that first half, they were dreadful. But I think to kind of take Fraser Murray off was a little bit harsh.
I think it was harsh, but I think at the same time, as a manager, see when you see a player struggling like that, it can't be the best watching it. I don't know what Dave thinks. I mean, because Fraser Murray was a very important player for them when they come up from the championship. the championship.
I'm going to speak about Kilmarnock in general here because I'm going to be really honest with you. I just don't think they have the squad capable of challenging in the Premiership. I mean, they've had a lot of their championship winning squad from last season. Derek McInnes hasn't been given a suitable enough budget to go and seven that. I mean, he's taken Cal Vassell. Lafferty helped them get promoted through, obviously scoring a lot of goals. They've had to rely massively on Daniel Armstrong. Defensively, they will go over the shop, like Fraser Murray, for instance. And I'm struggling to see where Kilmarnock are getting out of this loophole that they find themselves in. I mean, they're a very good home side, but away form-wise, this is going to be one of the reasons why they'll go and get maybe relegated at the end of the season because ultimately it's what you do at home, but ultimately teams do well based on what you do in Dingwall, in Aberdeen, in Dundee, in Glasgow, in Edinburgh. And that's the bottom line. And then everywhere in between as well. So I think as Kelly is concerned, Kelly are hitting this yo-yo era where they're good one season, incompetent and incomprehensible the following season. And they're struggling to find that balance. So Fraser Murray, it will dampen his confidence massively. But I think there's far deeper problems Fraser Murray and Kelly just said.
Here's
Yep.
I'm gonna ask you a question, right? Now I'm trying to think about this logically, right? So let's just say, for example, say that Queen's Park win the championship, right? And let's say Dundee United go straight down. If it's Dundee against Kilmarnock in the championship playoff final, who wins that?
That would be a belter.
Dundee.
Dundee, yep.
Dundee.
I would say Dundee. I would say Dundee as well.
Dundee have more options in the forward areas. They've got a better balance in midfield. Defensively, they're decent enough. But I kind of take your point as well, Graham, because if Dundee go and bottle this now, you could argue it's a bit of capitulation from their perspective.
And I'm right in saying as well, guys, that the last match of the season is Queen's Park and Dundee. So that's going to be an
it's at Oakville View as well.
So how many games is there to go? I think
Two games to go.
I think Graham told me last week that the Queen's Park game is on the telly. I'm searching for it and everything on the telly. There's a 3 games to go.
Well, after tonight, Queen's Park play Ayr United tonight, and then the last 2 games they've got are Morton away and Dundee at home. Dundee have Inverness tomorrow, and then their 2 games after that are Cove at home, which is expect them to win, and then Queen's Park away. So that Dundee Queen's Park game, last game of the season, could be absolutely huge.
Let's move on then to speak about the game on Sunday. I don't know if you're going to this one, Dave. Aberdeen against Rangers. 4:30 kickoff. I'm not going to say Sky is using Scottish football again because the FA Cup is on this weekend. I'm not going to go there. So what do you make of this? Before we get into the game, Dave, I want your comments about Graham's Shinnie signing off last week against Ross County and Aberdeen is appealing it.
Yeah, first of all, on the red card, never a red. The county player chickens out of the 50-50 lunge. I mean, Graham Shinnie has every entitlement to go for the ball, and I need to watch what I'm saying because I am involved in the SFA jurisdiction right now, considering my current role within a football club. But at exactly the same time, there is the process that if the county player makes a bit of contact, we're not even having this conversation. We're speaking about how 2 players came together, how Aberdeen got a very good win and winning by 1-0 against Ross County. So, the whole thing's been downplayed, and the whole victory from Aberdeen's perspective been downplayed as a result of Shinnie sending off. Now, have Aberdeen done their due diligence? Have they done everything in their power to try and overcome this? Absolutely they have. They've went down every avenue possible. They've challenged the SFA. They've been brutally honest about the SFA and their statements. They've went and said all the correct protocols that you would possess with a professional football club in this type of situation. So I think as far as Aberdeen are concerned, they've left no stone unturned as far as this is concerned. But what I will say from this perspective is it gives a precedence now about where Scottish football's going. I mean, I was big to obviously call out on social media when Ryan Edwards got sent off for Dundee United for a challenge on a Hearts player not so long ago, because I didn't think it was a red card. I didn't think it was a red card because of the way in which the Hearts player didn't make contact, and that was basically why I felt it wasn't a red card. I mean, the force was there, but I'm a big believer that you should never be dishing out red cards unnecessarily. I think you should only be dishing out red cards if you're. I understand the endangering an opponent scenario, but endangering an opponent scenario, in my honest opinion, can only result in a red card if there's an injury to that player. No, if there's no contact at all, play on. Don't worry about it. Play on. We're re-refereeing games. We're worried about what's going on at Strathclyde House, with the Strathclyde Blazers. We're worried about that far too much. Referees, because I'll be honest with you, I'm obviously involved in a Scottish League club now, and I think I'm not one to criticise referees too much considering I'm in that role, but I can sense that from being down the leagues that VAR's having a big suffocation in Scottish football in general now. And it's not a good look at all for Scottish football. So, yeah, I can understand where the criticism's obviously coming from. Aberdeen have every right to go and appeal it. The fact that the SFA says you can't re-appeal it is baffling as well. So, yeah, I just think the whole thing is pitiful. And see this VAR thing. At the time, I was all for it. Now, let's get full-time referees in. Now, referees, I can't approximately give you an assessment here. I can't give you an accurate assessment on this. But referee in Scottish Premiership, £650 to referee a game. Championship, it'd be maybe £400 maybe. League 1, 300, League 2, 200. That's part-time money, essentially, to run a bit of parking for 90 minutes. Yes, I get abuse, but it's part-time or full-time money to run around the pitch for 90 minutes. I mean, there's not a lot of people that would do it, but exactly the same time, you'd rather be having this than VAR, as far as I'm concerned, because that's all the media speaking about now. VAR.
Dave, that's a great point. But what I will say to that is that if you look at people like the referees, they're lawyers, they're school teachers, they're not going to give up their job as a lawyer to come and be a full-time referee, because a job as a lawyer makes a lot of money.
By the way, see before you answer that one, Dave, I don't know if you remember, we had a conversation on the show weeks ago, and I'm not going to tell you that I was right, but I'm right now, because if I can't remember what show it was, but we had a debate about full-time refs in Scotland, and you said no, it wouldn't work in Scotland. But thanks for changing your opinion on live on air.
Absolutely, I've changed my opinion now. Absolutely.
Yeah. I just wanted to bring in the other guys in a minute, but I just wanted to bring you up to speed about what Barry Robson's gig. And by the way, Dave, he's done a brilliant job since he's been into Aberdeen.
Excellent.
He was talking about this thing off last week in the appeal. He said, I am disappointed. I feel as a club, we always do things the right way. We have always been honest upfront and upfront with everyone, everything that we do. We have got some good people here. It is frustrating what came back from the SFA. We are so disappointed, and we have tried to appeal that, and the club has came. The club has came back speaking to the SFA. For me, I'm disappointed, but I can't comment too much as there are things ongoing. Dave, I think there's more to that story than meets the eye, and this is where Scottish football lets everybody get right, because if Barry Robson came out and made a comment about the SFA, right, he would be hauled up against the SFA tonight. He would be probably banned for the next few games. Yet the guy in the middle can make mistakes and he can carry on as normal. It's not fair.
Before I go to Barry Robson, we bring referees through far too fast. From the minute they take their qualification course at 18 years old, 19 years old, whenever they do it, they're doing amateur games, junior games, Lowland Highland League games within 4 seasons. And then 5 or 6 years down the line, they're refereeing Premiership games and refereeing Celtics and Rangers and Aberdeens and the Hearts, whatever have you. As for Barry Robson, he obviously spoke to the press yesterday, so I'm presuming what he's trying to tell the press is that obviously there was a statement that came out from Aberdeen today, as you guys probably have touched upon. But I'm presuming what Barry Robson's trying to imply, so they're trying to reappeal it, and that's obviously been unsuccessful now. So I'm pretty sure that's what Barry Robson was trying to imply when he spoke to the press yesterday. But the whole thing's mind-baffling, the whole thing's incompetent, and I have to watch what I'm saying, of course. But the whole thing is fairly inconsistent. So, I think there needs to be a lot of work done in that regard, and I think because every week I'm seeing a thing on social media, and every week I'm seeing a thing across the board about referees not getting the credit they deserve, or referees getting this wrong and that wrong and all that kind of stuff, and that's the poor situation that we find ourselves in. And that's the most disappointing thing about this. But I'm looking forward to Sunday. I'm going on Sunday. I'll give you a text when the first VAR thing comes in. I'm pretty sure it won't be long.
Yeah, and as for Rangers, Graham, they're going up there, and don't forget that was the last place that Rangers pulled a 2-goal league back from Aberdeen. I'm sorry to remind you of that, Dave, and I think that was at the beginning of the end for Jim Goodwin that night up at Piccogley. Brilliant performance, but Rangers pulled back to the goals to save the day. Michael Beale said that it's always a difficult game. Barry has did a good job, and I think it's I think it's a good club for a long time. Our away form has been good, and I think it'll be a good game and a very difficult game. But we need 3 points to set us up for next week's semi-final against Celtic in the Scottish Cup. Graham, do you think that the pressure will be on Michael Beale yet again, as always every week with Rangers, but especially because this is the last game before the semi-final next week?
Yeah, of course, and there has to be pressure. You know, when you're at Rangers and Celtic, there is massive pressure. You have to win every week, and it is going to be a big game. You know, Pittodrie is a very difficult place to go. Aberdeen at home are a very, very good side. They're a strong side, and they've got one of the best players in the league just now in Duke, who will cause that Rangers defence a lot of problems. This is a tough game. Now, I honestly don't like backing Rangers, but I hope they win on Sunday to help Hearts if that happens. But it is a huge, huge game. It's going to be a massive game. And I think Michael Beale, he will be... I mean, listen, the title's gone. The title's done. The biggest game is now next weekend, that semi-final game. They have to win that. I don't think they will, but that's a massive game. But see, just on the subject of VAR and referees and stuff, I want to read you something in a second as well. But before I do, we talked weeks ago about the fact that, or I maybe said last week or the week before, I said that you've got Jim Goodwin was given an 8-game ban for insinuating that Ryan Poitras was a cheat. You've then got this extra game ban that Graham Shinney's got for the red card defence. But you've then got the guy McPherson who's given a 6-game ban for a headbutt, a physical assault, and he only gets a 16 ban for that. The SFA, I've said numerous times, are not fit for purpose. But I do want to read a statement out that Aberdeen made a few hours ago. So they basically said, following a request to the Scottish well, actually, I'll not read that part because you read that bit already. But Aberdeen have said, we now have no further recourse. So Graham will miss the next 4 Scottish Premiership matches. We have taken the temperature of several Premiership clubs and will now proactively work with clubs and the Scottish FA to bring about sensible and positive governance changes. So what does that say then? Does that mean that Aberdeen are the same as everyone else and we're sick of the SFA? What's going to happen now?
I think it's just showing that all the clubs are thinking the same. I think Andy Walker made a good point, and all these clubs, Michael, they need to sit around the table at the end of the season and say, sorry, mate. I'm just saying all the clubs need to sit around the table and just be together and get these issues sorted, because every club's on the back of really bad choices, and those choices could mean relegation, they could mean for the title. I mean, could you imagine if Celtic lost the title on a VR choice by the referee? People would be going crazy. They'd be down the East End with not very nice pleasantries for Ange Postecoglou.
Well, right, okay, so we've only got half an hour left, right, and I'm going to go on a rant now about Scottish football, right? I think, like, I don't work for the SFA, I'm not employed by the SFA, so I can say what I want. Okay, I'm a journalist as well, but what I've been saying for years is the SFA are cowboys. Well, not cowboys, dinosaurs. Because, and the reason I'm saying that is because if you go to the SFA with a new idea, they don't like it or they don't want it. I'll give you an example. VR that didn't come until halfway through the season. Now, in any normal league in any normal country, they would get a block in at the beginning of the season, not in October, not 2 games before the World Cup. In this occasion, I can go on and on about this the whole night, but I'm not going to. In terms of like the refs, like why can't they not come out after the game and speak about the game? I mean, a few years ago, you may remember we had this website what you had to look up on a Wednesday what the ref did, why the ref sent an English shinny off or something at the weekend. So you had to wait until Wednesday to find out the comments of the refs. And then also the other thing is when somebody gets sent off in the game, they appeal that they're ready to play in the next game. But if they don't appeal it, the hearing could be 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years later than when the challenge took place. So I'm picking out like 1 or 2 or maybe 5 different issues here, Graham. Right? I can fill a whole show with incidents that the SFA hasn't got right, i.e. the TV deal, blah, 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 right? I can go on and on and on. But the SFA is not fit for purpose. I think this is good. Just shut it down. I think this is start this. I think this is good. Start the whole association again and get people out. It's been involved in the SFA for years, who hasn't got any background got in football, who hasn't got any interest in football, is only there to be there for cup finals and all that, to get suited and booted, get them all out and start again. I'm sorry, but I had to go on that wee rant.
Yes, Michael, enjoyed that. Yeah, enjoyed that wee rant.
No, but seriously, it's so out of date, Glenn.
And no, this isn't a Hearts bias thing here, right? But this is what I get annoyed at, right? Years ago, when obviously COVID was, nobody knew what to expect from it. Nobody could understand. Nobody could know what was going to happen with that. But the SFA had the chance to make a change. They had a chance to reconstruct the league and make a bigger league. And instead, they could have easily said, this is what we're going to do. It's unprecedented. We're going to do this. We're not going to relegate Hearts. We're not going to relegate Partick. We're not going to relegate whoever it was. They've done that. But instead, they went to the clubs for a vote. Now, every club is going to vote for their own selves and their own self-esteem. They should have, as an SFA, as a board, have said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to reconstruct the league. We're going to make 18-team league, whatever. But they didn't. Went to every club who were obviously going to vote for their own means. That for me was a bad idea. And I think as well, I don't know if you watched it, but a few days ago there was a game in, I can't remember what it was, abroad. But they actually mic'd the referee up, and you could hear what he was saying to the players. And it worked. Now, whether they did that, whether they could do that in Scotland, I don't know. I think that would be a good. I think that would be a good. I think they should. I think the right. Yeah, I think in Scotland they could mic the refs up. I know that a lot of folk would say they probably go, "Oh, apologies for the bad language." I'm not being funny, but if you're watching football, you're going to expect that. But you know what? Mic the refs up. Let us hear what they're saying to the players and what the players are saying back to them. Do that. But instead, if a referee makes a bad decision, and Reagan's right, people could get relegated or lose titles because of referees' decisions. And these guys get nothing happen to them. All they may get is demoted to the championship for a game or so. That for me is not right.
Right, and one thing I want to point out as well: why is Graham Shinnie getting an extra ban because Aberdeen appeal it? Is that the referees basically saying if you ask questions, we'll basically make things worse?
I think it's a good point, Regan. I think if the SFA did go ahead with the PO and decided to keep it 3 games, I think Aberdeen would have accepted it and moved on. They'd have been furious, but they'd have accepted it and moved on. It's the fact that they've added an extra game for arguably one of Aberdeen's senior figures that they're like, oh. So that's why they're obviously got that angriness of it, and that's why they're not bitter, but that's why they're obviously berated at obviously the SFA's colleagues this week. So I'm presuming that's why.
Okay,
Sorry, Mike,
that
I just
yeah.
wanted to jump in and say we've had a very good show tonight. We've had Michael going his rant. We've had Dave shout at the screen. We've had loads happening.
Yeah, exactly. All we need is a police out going away from my back door now, and we'll be fine. Dave, let's move on now. Let's stick on the football theme, but let's go over to the women's football. And Graham reminded me before we get to the Scottish Cup semi-final tomorrow, there is Hearts and Hibs. The Edinburgh Derby on Sky. Is it quarter to eight kickoff?
Quarter to eight, yeah,
Graham,
quarter to eight.
tomorrow night. I think. Where's that game getting played?
It's
Easter
Easter
Road.
Road.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Aye. So that's good. Graham, Dave, I wanted your comments about the. I know you cover the women's game now and again, Dave. Scottish football will make history tomorrow because the two semi-finals of the Scottish Cup will be at Hampden Park. The first cup for the first time at the National Stadium, Motherwell, Rangers, and then Celtic and Glasgow City.
Yeah, I think it'll be two good games. It was this one. I mean, I'm expecting Rangers to be professional, but I think Wednesday will have a bit of presence in it as well. But just to see how they get on after Wednesday, because obviously that was a possibility 90 plus minutes at Petershill against Glasgow City on Wednesday night. So that was a very good one as far as Mocky Thompson's side's concerned. And that just shows you that you don't need any headbutts to do well in football. So that just teaches you fighting well. But a good one for Rangers nonetheless. And it opens up an exciting title race now. But for Monroe, they've been coming into it. They're improving game by game, week by week. And Paul Brownlee and Leanne Crichton are steadying the ship at that club. And I just think this will be a step too far, but I think it'll be a good game. I'm expecting Rangers to win this one. I'm going to go for 4-1 Rangers tomorrow. And then Sunday, I think Sunday's a big test because what was a big week for Glasgow City has become humongous. I mean, Glasgow City were well and home and dry last Sunday evening, but 2 defeats has put them in the back burner, so to speak. With Celtic are in free fall just now, 6 at Hearts, 4 at Petershill, and it could easily have been 6 or 7 last Sunday as well. So, yeah, I think that's where Celtic are at right now. I'm intrigued to see how this goes because if Celtic go and win this, you could argue that Glasgow City's bubble and the Leanne Ross might have burst a little bit and they'll have to start a new bubble.
Yeah, Reagan, how brilliant is it to see the two games at the National Stadium for the first time?
Aye, it's great for the profile of the women's game.
It's well overdue, Reagan.
It is well overdue. Do we know if it's on the telly?
That was my next question today because I'm not actually sure. I wouldn't imagine the Motherwell the game.
Apparently, the FA are showing it in their social media channels. I got told that by John Blaisdell on the SFF podcast last night, but I don't know if that's true. I'm just answering the question from a third party, so to speak.
Aye, well, I'll definitely tuning in because
If that is the case, sorry, Reagan, if that is the case, I'm going to go on one of my rants again. I don't think that's very fair because it's the first time that the game's been at Hampden and people's got to go and look for it.
and the fact that nobody even knows where the game is being showcased again is bad marketing by all the people involved because surely this is a momentous occasion. It's showcasing the game. They should be happy it's there. It's not as if they're playing in the back garden and nobody can see them. They're playing in the National Stadium in front of a lot of fans, and we want to get as much exposure as we can because if you get exposure, that's how you get money to this. That's the only way that Celtic, Partick Thistle, Rangers, Motherwell, that's the way these teams are going to improve by people seeing their games. Sponsorship. Look at England. England have got like 40 odd games on Sky Sports. The only way they've done that is because they've put their games free to air on BBC, and now they've got
My source. My source is correct, yes. The match will be streamed live across Scottish Cup social channels, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. Michael, you love your TikTok, don't you? Stuart Mitchell and Rachel Corset will be the match commentators. So there you go. Michael McCune, go and get yourself a TikTok account to watch the women's football.
And Stuart Mitchell's a good guy, by the way, and I'm hoping to get Stuart on the show in the next few weeks. Reagan, what were you saying, sorry?
I was talking about the exposure. I've seen it would have been great if it was on a major platform for the clubs.
Yeah.
Because the more these clubs get exposure, the better players they can bring in. Because if you're, as they say, Michael, if you you get what you get. Because if you reap the rewards by putting the game on Sky Sports or BT Sport or playing it on the BBC, then more people have got access to it. I mean, that just shows you that me, you, and Graham never even knew where the game was being broadcast, and we should be well aware. There should be like Leanne Crichton, Malky Thompson, and Fran Alonso should be everywhere this weekend. They should be in the local papers. They should be all over the BBC, all over BT Sport, and all these companies to try and get the exposure so that next time these games come around, everybody can see it.
And that reeks me back to my rant I had early on about Scottish football, Graham, because the SFA should be marketing women's football better. And that's the best affair. That's the best affair, Graham, all night, actually.
Oh, he's brilliant.
Yeah, good point.
I've done it.
Oh, you've done it again. Oh, this is a good show.
There we go. Back on there. There we go. Yeah, I mean, I think the women's game has had more exposure than it has had recently. I mean, I do like the fact that they do that channel on the BBC where they show the highlights, and they've obviously shown a few games on Alba as well. And to be honest, I'd actually rather have the Alba commentary than listen to Stephen Thompson putting his nonsense. But yeah, I mean, I think some of the games have been actually. Sorry, Steve, you'll be watching this, but I don't care. But yeah, I think the women's game has been very good, and there has been a lot of games shown recently. I mean, I think they showed the cup final live on Sky as well. The Hibs Rangers game, I think it was. So it has been getting a lot more exposure, and I think this weekend it will be a massive, massive occasion. Tomorrow you've got Hearts Hibs shown, women's game shown live on Sky, which will be hopefully a good atmosphere and a good product as well, and hopefully Hearts win, like last week. But yeah, it's a good. It should be a good occasion, I think.
Okay. I wanted to speak about this on the show this week. Obviously, we'll try and keep the politics side out of it because it's not a politics show, even though it's Indie Live Radio. And by the way, if you're watching on Indie Live Radio, hello, and if you're listening to us, hello as well. Don't forget you can comment on YouTube or Facebook as well, and you can comment on our Twitter feed at the Locker Room Indie as well. And while I'm talking about the show, we've got two shows coming up next week for the semi-finals. Celtic against Rangers and Inverness against Falkirk on the Saturday. We'll be here for both days on Indie Live Media, so can't wait for that one. Okay, Graham, I was eating my dinner on Monday night, watching a game of snooker, as you do on a Monday night, and somebody enters I was going to say the field of play, maybe the balls of play, and he went up on the table and threw paint or what was it, paint or whatever, all over the table, and it ruined the table. And also in the next snooker table, somebody tried to chain themselves to a pocket. Obviously, the security came down and took away and all that. And then on the day before the Grand National, it happened again. Graham, what's your thoughts about people progressing at sporting events. It's getting worse now.
Well, to be honest, I'll be protesting tomorrow if Hearts don't win, so I'm quite happy for that kind of protest. But yeah, I kind of I had to laugh when I saw it. You know, how to make snooker more interesting. Let folk jump on the snooker tables and spout orange stuff. Like I said on Twitter last week, if you want to get a game, put 50p on the table like everyone else does at the snooker clubs. But yeah, I mean, it was ridiculous, and I've seen folks say, "Oh, but it's ruining the spectacle for folk." Well, that's the whole point. That's why you protest, to ruin it for folk. But yeah, it was mental, and it's happened quite a lot these days as well. Again, I watched the Grand National last week, and I mean, to see folk protesting that as well. Listen, these people they've got their rights. They want to protest about stuff they don't agree with. That's absolutely fine. But to do it at like a snooker event and a horse racing event, it's just pointless for me. And again, I know that snooker at times can be quite boring if you're watching it. It did make it slightly more interesting, but let's be honest, the people that were playing that day, nobody was focused on their game. All they were focused on was these idiot protesters, and that's not the way it should be.
And one of the games get cancelled, Reagan, like because they actually ruined the table, so they had to come back. What was it, Tuesday morning, or maybe that night, and finish off the game as well.
The only thing that would have been good that night, Michael, was the queue at the bar. I mean, it would have been queuing up for their pine bovril and their Diet Cokes. So no, I mean it's a difficult one because, like Graham says, these people have got the right to protest, but I don't see why they were spraying the orange stuff on the table. It was just really strange.
And Dave, we are not saying that people don't get the right to protest, and you know they should, but keep it away from football grounds and snooker and the Grand National. I mean, I remember years ago that was the Green Brigade protesting against John Rigg because John Rigg joined the board and he was from a certain party. I mean, leave politics outside.
I can get protesting against, like, I remember from a Celtic perspective, they were obviously protesting against that police guy because he was becoming in as either on the board, a head commander, or some of the others. I can take that kind of thing. I can take that kind of thing, but I can't. What I can't take is what we see at the snooker on Monday. What we're likely to see in terms of maybe darts, what we're likely to see in terms of maybe boxing, that kind of thing. I can't take that at all, though. I mean, the thing we've seen at Goodison Park with a guy with handcuffs and tying him against the goals, that's not for me, no. That's get that in the dung bin. Get that in the bin.
Reagan, I was interested to hear Barry Hearn's comments yesterday. I don't know if you saw his interview on BBC, but basically he's got the right to all the people that missed out in the session on Monday night, and basically he's got to launch a legal case against the people who actually ruined the game, because if you think of it in the way that he put it across was that he's losing out on money, but the fans are losing out on money, right? And you don't know where the fans are coming from, maybe from Scotland or maybe parts of Ireland to go to snooker, and they've lost out in a game. So, first of all, did you see Barry Hearn's comments, or and do you agree with his comments, and what do you think?
I'm taking you as gospel, Michael, because you are my witness. You were listening to the interview, but no, I didn't see the interview, but I think he's spot on, because if you look at it, Michael, you're talking about people coming down from Scotland, maybe people that enjoy the crucible and say, right, I'm going to plan it. Me and my wife are going to go, and we're going to fly from. It could be Spain, it could be anywhere.
By the way, it's very expensive.
Aye, and like you say, people might say, right, well, we're going to save up and we're going to go this year. That might be the one thing they're looking forward to this year. I'm not meaning to be all emotional here, but I mean, like these people are investing a lot of cash. They want to see a proper game, and for it to be ruined with something like that was just outrageous. And I mean, all of the stuff about the oil stuff, the climate stuff. I mean, like you said, Michael, these people have got a right to protest, but like sometimes it's just a bit overboard. And I think in terms of the snooker, I think the standard's been very good this year, and I wish they would have just sat and watched the snooker instead of do all the absolute nonsense that they decided to do.
Yeah.
Reagan. I was just going to say, Reagan, do you think Ronnie O'Sullivan's going to win his 8th title?
I knew he was playing today. Did he win today?
He's winning 5-1 in his first session. I think they come back tomorrow as well. So 5-1 up Reagan.
Is that why you've not been as vocal tonight, Michael? Because you've been having one eye on the snooker. No, I'm only kidding on you, Michael. You've been great tonight, mate. But
I was going to say something, but I'm not going to because we're on here. I was going to say something else, but I won't.
Aye, I mean.
Oh, go on. No, in fact, don't worry. Yeah. Reagan's actually muted himself when it's spoken. It's brilliant, this. Reagan, sorry. You muted yourself, and we missed about 10 seconds of the most wonderful thing you said 5 years, so you can tell us again.
Sorry, Graham was asking me about who would say is going to win it. I'll say Ronnie O'Sullivan is. I think he is in the frame to win it.
Boom, boom.
There you go. See,
he's in the box as well. Yeah.
Tell you what, Reagan talks a lot of balls. Like, got to say.
Who else is still in the tournament, guys? Who else is still in the tournament? Is Judd Trump still in?
Is John Higgins not in this as well? Or did
Michael's muted himself. Thank you for that, Michael. You have now muted yourself. It's the best you've sounded all year.
Oh yeah, sorry, it's Reagan's payback time. Yeah, John Higgins is in it. Anthony McGill's in it. Reagan, a brilliant game coming up. Anthony McGill against Jack Lazowski. Now, I would like to see Anthony McGill getting to the semi-final or win the actual tournament, because he's actually did well this year. I think he qualified for the snooker for the Kosovo as well.
Aye, and Anthony McGill's a local guy. He's from Glasgow East End, so
yeah,
all the best to Anthony McGill. He's local, he's Scottish, so yeah, all the best to him. Is there a possibility, Michael, that John Higgins and Anthony McGill could play against each other? I know you're snooker loopy. You enjoy it.
I'm not really sure, but Higgins has got a tough draw that he's playing against Kylie Wilson in the next round, so that's a difficult game for him. But
just going to say, is Judd Trump still
in? He is not in.
Michael's got his cell on mute again. This is lovely. We've really had a great show tonight, guys.
Dave's back and he's jinxed it all.
Yeah, I know exactly. Judd Trump get beat in the first round. Just trying to, he get he get beat off Anson and McGill 10-6.
There you go, aye. He was one of my favourite players, I think, Judd Trump. But I've not really paid attention on this week because I've been really busy. But yeah, I mean, in terms of Ronnie O'Sullivan, you're saying there, if he achieves that, then it would be amazing for him, because I don't know, some of his interviews he does are really strange. He plays a kind of reverse psychology. Don't know if you guys agree, but
quick question for you again: who is a better player, Stephen Hendry or Ronnie O'Sullivan?
Stephen Henry
I've got to go for the Hearts fan there, Graham. I've got to go for Henry there. You know.
Right, we've got 1 minute to go. It's Queen's Park tonight. Are Queen's Park going to win?
I think
Queen's
they might
Park-
sneak it.
There you go. You've heard it from the horse's mouth. Thanks. One each, Dave says, and I will say no. Anyway, thanks for joining us tonight. It's been a brilliant show. Thanks to Dave. Thanks to Regan. Thanks to Graham. We'll do it all again on Sunday between 3 and 5. Don't forget, we'll be on when the Aberdeen Rangers game is on. Enjoy the game, Dave, and we'll see you soon. Keep it here on Indie Live. Radio and Independence Live. Thanks for watching tonight. We'll be back on Sunday.
Stay safe.